Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader, and today folks we are doing another pick-a-card reading. The message that we are focusing on for today is an important message for you on your journey. I have 4 decks here. I have one big deck, this is the Game of Hope deck, that I am going to use to establish the theme for you to focus on at this point in your journey. And then once we have the theme, we are going to use these cards to draw the reading and see what you need to do about that theme for you right now on your journey. So it's a bit of a layered approach. I've been working through several Lenormand decks, layering them, and I think you have found this approach engaging. So we're working through these different ways of uncovering messages from your higher self, from the universe, to see how they can help you on your journey with the various areas that you are working through right now. I'm going to do 3 different readings, reading 1, reading 2, and reading 3, and they are all linked with their timestamps in the description box, and all 3 readings are going to use all 4 cards. So I'm just going to repeat this one more time. The Game of Hope deck is going to be used to establish the theme, and then we're going to use the 3 decks to draw on that theme to see what you need to do about it. Reading 1, reading 2, and reading 3. By all means, pause the video if you want to think about which reading you're going to resonate with, and I will see you in your reading. Okay, welcome to reading number 1. Like I said, we are going to establish the theme for you right now with the Game of Hope. So I'm just going to draw 3 cards, and let's just take these 2. Oh, and let's draw one more card. I'm going to draw 3 cards to establish I'm going to draw 3 cards to establish the theme for you, and we're going to do the extended reading with these cards. So I'm just going to go for one more card. And the fish. This is lovely. So for reading number 1, there is a focus on money and assets. We have the fish card, which is the card of money. We have the house card, which is about home and family. And we have the letter. This will have to do with your property, rent, income, business income, or your work. With the letter, a number of things are possible here, and we're going to draw these details with these decks here. But as it stands, these cards look good. It looks like you're on a solid footing, and that is definitely what you want to focus on. You want to focus on building something really tangible. This is about results. This is not about planning anymore. This is not about envisioning. This is where what is in your mind, what is in your heart needs to come out in some tangible format, and you are building something real and building something solid. The letter is generally a bright card. You know, it brings good news, it brings feedback, it is associated with paperwork, it can be contracts and documents. And when I see it with the context here and the idea of building something solid, the letter here is, you know, about putting things in writing, for example, getting it down on paper. You know, this is things coming out of your head out into the world, and you're building something solid. You could get an offer, you could get some contract. It can be paperwork with regards to your home, your property, your assets. I really think that this is about putting things into motion, and this is about getting things done. And I think you're going to find that the results are positive because the fish and house point to solid income, financial success, career success, work success, business success, all of the tangible, practical kind of success. So this is really about getting things done, making things happen at this point. You know, you're past the envisioning and the planning phase. Now it's things go down on paper. You know, things get done. Things manifest out physically. and I think you're in for a lot of success. So this is the theme for you. Practical, financial, business matters are in focus for you. We're going to draw 3 lines of 5 to see what you need to do and what are the outcomes of this area in your life. So I'm going to start with a bigger deck. It's nicer visually, and I'm going to draw a line of 5. This is Titania's deck, very beautiful, colorful deck, my longest standing deck. All right. Nice cards. Yeah, these are not challenging cards. I know what you're thinking. Like the mouse, coffin, scythe, and flowers are clearly more or less aggressive cards, but I am not really seeing them in a challenging way. I'll get to this. I like that the house figures here, and I have to say that with the scythe, I'm wondering if there is a house move or a house change, but because of the flowers, I am thinking this can be renovations or things that you're doing for the house. Maybe you're shopping, you're doing some things, for your surroundings. The house can also be your business, like we saw in the theme cards. And so maybe you are looking at changing things up in your business or your work. Now, before we get to this part, I want to start where I normally start, with the left, with these 3 challenging cards. The mouse, coffin, and scythe in the context of money and practical matters really tells me a couple of things. Number 1, you have to absolutely not waste at all. You have to cut waste. You have to cut your expenses, and anything that is draining you or just sort of seeping away, you absolutely have to put a stop to this. The mouse is a challenging card, but it's not too challenging unless it goes out of control. And the reason is that, mice, they eat away at things. And if there's many of them, there's a lot that is eaten away. Or if you leave the mice unchecked, they eat away everything, right? So the mouse really acts as a warning for you to catch things early when they're small. And in the context of money, the mice are really clear. They have to do with waste and overspending or spending without control, and there is a negative aspect to the mice and the mouse. And, it points to that energy drain. And when we see it with the coffin, it is a loss. With the scythe, it can point to a major loss. Now, of course, we have a really positive pair here, so it's not all lost, which is a really good message. But it is a pretty stern warning, and I wish for you to take this seriously. So what can you do about this? Well, I'm thinking about these cards here. These are very structured and disciplined cards, and the house, especially since it's in the middle here, points to success and building something solid, especially in view of the cards nearby. So what I'm seeing in this sense here, and we have the house here as well, what I'm seeing in this side of the line of the story is that you need to be a bit more strict about what you're spending on, what is being wasted. So a good way to do that is to take stock of what is going on with your money. And that is always a first stop when you are, taking stock of your financial picture, is before you try to set in any controls, you take a good hard look at what's going where. And when I look at these cards, it's really the letter that tells me this, because the letter is a card of detail, and so is the mouse. It is important for you to get into the details at this point. And then with the coffin and scythe, you absolutely have to cut out anything that is not needed, anything that is wasteful. It is also a very good combination to declutter, to get rid of all of this negative energy, to get rid of anything that is not really supportive and that it is not feeding you in a really positive way. And another way we can read these first 3 cards in the context of money and assets and, financial success and business success is that you might want to postpone a major purchase for the time being until you have a better hang of the picture. So these can come across as challenging cards, but I think in the context of money and finances, they are actually really good advice. Now, they can figure in your life in a different way. We could be looking at all the themes under the sun, but we want to stay focused on what is most relevant by the theme cards and also the cards in the line. We have 2 houses so far, and this really highlights the focus on home and family. And also it can represent your team on the job or your business, especially if it's a smaller kind of business, like your home-based business. And the focus is really on building something solid. The scythe and house, however, especially with the coffin and mouse earlier, can point to some deep changes happening in the house. I would have read this as a move or changing your home completely, like going to a different place. But the flowers has an energy of return. The flowers has to do with renewal and refreshment and, like breathing fresh energy into a space because it's associated with spring. So it has this idea of things coming back after a winter. In the context here, this can be about renovating your house, something as straightforward as that. Or maybe you're in the business, so it's about, setting up the house or making repairs so that it sells better and things like that. It might depend on your specifics. But more generally speaking, when it comes to your financial success here and your work and your business, this is definitely income, your money, your prosperity. With the flowers here, what we are seeing is that when you take the trouble to redress the waste and to cut the waste, you can look forward to more prosperity coming in. I also think with regards to your home, like I said, this idea of decluttering and removing the negative stuff. So not necessarily going out and spending. You don't have to, spend in order to make your house better. You can redress the clutter, you can clean it, you can make really a lot of changes for free that don't cost you anything, just time, to bring back that sense of positive energy in your home. And the same would apply in the context of business, right? Where you need to remove the distractions. You remove all of those useless projects, okay? All of those projects that didn't lead to anything, okay? Clean it all up, all of these little loose ends. And you will find that you will have a lot of fresh energy in your environment. And I also think you're going to have a lot more focus. The scythe is it can be a tough card, it has to do with cutting and severance, but it's also very sharp. So it tends to be really good with decision making, with standing behind your stance, your position. It tends to be strong in these ways, and it has to do with focus because it is so sharp. So when you remove the clutter, remove the noise, remove all of this unfinished stuff, the little tidbits here and there, the waste here and there, you will find that you have a bright, strong space out of which to operate. And this is what we're seeing with the flowers. I think you can look forward to a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of newfound energy that empowers you to be productive and empowers you to really focus on the things that matter, on the things that are going to build this solid foundation, which is going to attract quite a lot of abundance for you. The fish and the flowers are lovely for money and finances. So again, these cards might jump out as challenging, but actually with the rest of the line, in the context of your theme, we are looking at very good advice to help you regain enthusiasm, energy, and a sense of focus. So get rid of the clutter, stop the waste, stop any bleeding. Okay, let's move on to the next line of 5, and I'm going to use the Silhouettes deck. This is my own deck, and I'm just going to overlay them on top of this. And then we're going to end up with a 3x5 portrait, which is fun. Okay. Okay, this really makes me smile because I am seeing a very parallel structure with the line, with the first line. So we have 2 lovely cards here and we have 3 challenging cards here. And of course the order from left to right is helpful. So the whip and snake They are the more challenging cards here. And really, they sort of mirror what's going on in the top row. And we have the bird. It is not as aggressive and challenging as the other cards. It's more like the mouse, you know, along the same sort of level of challenge. And so it's very clear that we're getting another parallel message. The whip and bird specifically can mean gossip. And with the snake and bird, something similar can happen. So I am picking up in here some dishonesty. I am picking up misinformation or not exactly the best of intentions. But I am also seeing that the rest of the line is potentially supportive. I think when we draw the columns, we'll get a more complete picture. But for now, sticking with the row, the snake and heart and then the dog can be tricky. So the snake and heart can point to someone who is not really invested in the relationship. They could even be fake. I think that's possible. But, you know, the structure is parallel. It's really mirroring the parallel line above. And so I feel I want to stick with the triplet pair for now at least. So the whip, bird, and snake may well suggest the same thing that we're seeing at the top. It can mean releasing, letting go, moving on. The snake is a card of moving on. It is with the scythe. This is going to be a severance, also a bite, snake bite. And what is strong about these cards is the bird in the middle of this triplet. The bird is a card of conversations, and with the whip and snake, it can point to a tough conversation. And with the rest of the line, it can refer to this person. Now, I'm not going to close the loop on this just yet, because when I see the flowers and the dog and the heart with the house, they are positive cards. So I suspect that there can be an issue that happens that gives room for more stability moving forward, or better relationships moving forward, a more secure, a happier environment. But what is happening here, I have to say, this is not the easiest of bottlenecks. Something is going to have to be blown out of the water. It might be with a person, it might affect a person, it might affect your relationship. But definitely, I am seeing an emphasis and a very literal reiteration of what we're seeing in the top row. Something has to stop. Something has to be blown out, whipped out, and thrown out. Like really plainly, folks, this has to stop. You have to put an end to this. And honestly, in view of these tough cards here, you might really need to grab the bull by the horns. And I don't think you should hold yourself back. If this involves another person, which it may well involve, you might need to have a straight and honest conversation. And it can point to a separation, it can point to a breakup, and it can point to you just removing yourself from an environment. Now, putting this in the context of your theme cards here, I like it. I like it because we said you have to remove the clutter, you have to remove the waste, you have to stop the bleeding at all costs. And in the second line, we're getting the element of a person. We do have the element of the person with the house, but really with the dog, it's more, you know, it's more emphasized. And so similarly, you have to move on from naysayers, people who don't have faith in you, people who envy you, people who bother you, and basically people who are holding you back. Now, I have to say this, when it gets to this level, usually or often enough, what could be at play here is people who want to hold you back from growing. And honestly, when I'm seeing something like the fish with the house, I have to wonder here if this, and the fish and the house and the flowers, which is about creativity, I have to wonder, maybe some of you are thinking of maybe starting a business, or, you know, doing your own thing, or exploring some activity, some hobby, something you do a bit more seriously. And when we do that, sometimes we come across these people who are envious and discouraging. Sometimes they mean well, sometimes they don't. And they just, they're trying to protect us from our good. So you're going to have to move past this. Okay? And you know what I'm sensing? I'm sensing when it can feel toxic like that, like with the whip and snake and bird. Sometimes I feel that we have an inner button that is pushed. So this is a master key to know, is that people may push your buttons, but they don't create your buttons, okay? You have people who push your button because you have a button that can be pushed. So when we do this work, okay, when we move past these limitations, and it can feel really like someone really grips you, it's usually a sign that there is something inside of us that needs to be worked. And so this is actually an opportunity to uproot that button that is being pushed so that you can create your own good. This can be a major step in evolution. This can be a major step in our personal growth. So I'm not going to tell you that this is easy from these cards, but I'm going to tell you that the rewards are potentially really great. And with the theme cards here, your vision can materialize. Now, with the heart and dog here, there's a number of ways this can play out for you or some of you. The heart and dog is normally, without this, is normally a good combination, a supportive friendship. The focus is really on friendships as opposed to love relationships. And another scenario that could be playing out in view of this is the falling out of a love relationship and the maintenance of the friendship. And this would affect your prosperity in one way or another. I don't think this will be the most common scenario for most of you, but I can't dismiss it as a possibility. The one thing that really comes to mind, to be honest, is like a scenario of a divorce or a separation where, the money and the financial and practical aspects need to be figured out. So I think they are going to be figured out, but the parting needs to happen. The division needs to come through, and this separation needs to materialize and happen so that you know how to process this. But here's what. The point is clarity. The point is really to bring things out into the open, and these cards will do that, will help you do that. And then there is things that are settled. Okay, so these are really supportive cards for home, family, friendships. There's a lot of supportive energies here, but really the path to that, I can't say that it's the easiest path. But again, this is work that needs to be done. So these are some possible scenarios playing out. This is a serious release. This is a big deal, what you're going through, but the rewards are great. And I think this is an important step for you on your growth on this journey. There can be a person who turns out to be unhelpful, let's say, but, and I'm saying that because we have the snake and the heart, and this is someone who is really not invested in the relationship. But when I see the flowers and dog, I'm sort of reassured that you can sort of neutralize this energy and that you'll be able to restructure the relationship and you're going to be okay with it. Okay, so that too is another possibility. But the strongest idea is the one that best aligns with your theme, and that is, again, this idea of getting out of the way the naysayers, the people who don't support you, who don't have faith in you, people who are negative and envious. You have to outgrow them, because it looks like you are pursuing some serious ambitions and you're going to make some things really happen for yourself. So you're going to have to find a lot of energy to unleash your power, and it's a bit like you're lifting off your shoulders. You're unburdening yourself from material limitations and also people-related limitations. So let's now draw your third line and see what comes through. Here's another bird. In this deck, it is 2 birds. This is the mystical Lenormand deck. It's a very pretty deck. The child, the fox. Nice. Oh, nice. So this is the star. So this is a wish fulfillment card. I love that it's the last card of the whole thing. We have the birds. It's 2 birds in this deck. We have the child, which is the card of beginnings. The fox, which is a tricky card. It's a bit like the snake, not as toxic, but it's also the card of work. And we have the bear, which is a very powerful card, and the star. So again, this is really curious. I am seeing similar energies on this side of the 3x5 and very bright energies on this side of the extended portrait. But the thing about the child is that it's normally a bright card. So it is not as, so the bird and fox are not as challenging as if there was a neutral or another negative card. The thing about the child is that it is pointing to new beginnings. And that is a really good message to see in here because we have strong indications of endings in this side as well. So this is what it's coming to. It's coming to turning the page. The bird is another message. We've seen it in here. It's about conversations and communication. And the fox, like I mentioned briefly, it's a bit of a tricky card, but it also has the gift of discipline. So at this point in the story, you are going with it. This is where you say you're gonna do this. You're gonna move on. You're gonna take that step, and you might communicate this in some way or another to some people who need to know, and you're gonna move into this new beginning. The fox, in this sense, is a bit tricky. It can support you in the sense because it is a disciplined card. The fox is really good with routine, with getting things done. It's very protective of family, interestingly enough. And even though it has a selfish side, it's really good with priorities. And I think that what could be coming through for you is that if you want to build this, okay, if you want to create something real for yourself, you're going to have to put up with the steps that are going to take you there. And you're going to have to release whatever is in your way. So in the top here, we see that you release what's in your way with a lot of energy. Let's just put it that way. And then in this line, we see that you now take steps to move forward. So there's a lot happening for you. It's like the whole cycle is playing out for you in these cards. And you know what? I really want to congratulate you on your willpower. The bear on the other side of the fox and the star, this is achieving major goals. The bear is the card actually of power. This is the card of bosses, CEOs, presidents, millionaires, like the big people, if you like. And when I see what's happening earlier, I feel you are going to do it step by step, and you're going to grow into achieving this master goal. And this really ties nicely into the house because I feel here it's step by step because of the child. And here it's brick by brick that you build the house. You lay the foundation, then the next level, and you build it all the way to the top. And we see here that you grow all the way to the stars. With the bear, growth, with the fox, doing the things that you need to do, sticking with the disciplines, sticking with the work, with the routine, putting in the work. So this is actually a really bright line. And what I love about it is that it comes as the third line after the first two. The first two we're very much about restructuring your space, your environment, your to-do list, getting all of this off it, restructuring some relationships, and then in the bottom row, it's like now you've created this space where you can actually start to work on this major ambition, on this important, tangible, material goal. And on top of that, we have the last two very bright cards that indicate a major achievement. So this is a really, really beautiful message. It is also a very encouraging message, and it is also a confirmation that your financial goal, your material goal, your business goal, this tangible, practical theme here is going to be achieved, okay? It's just that I can't say that what you need to get out of the way is something that is going to go really easily or smoothly. I think there's a bit of wrestling that needs to happen here, but it looks like it's really worth it. It's going to be worth it. And you know what? It might be a necessity. And more often than not, you know, we can't build anything if we don't have the space to build it, the focus, you know, the right atmosphere. So you need to get all of that garbage out of the way in order to create the space out of which you're going to be productive and build this business or, you know, this wonderful project or, you know, whatever it is you're doing specifically to enhance your prosperity and to make some serious goals materialize. Let's have a look at the columns before we close. I think we're going to find a few of them, at least a few of the messages coming back. The mouse, whip, and bird is another triplet that points to a tough conversation. So the bird is the card of communication, oral, verbal communication. The whip is a challenging card, and so is the mouse. And so here it looks like we are going to have to say things as they are, no sugarcoating, and just being direct. And also it has to do with releasing waste. The bird can be a bit wasteful as well. It tends to be a little bit all over the place. And so with the whip, it's really about taking control of, you know, the little stuff, the noise, the chatter, the waste here and there, you know, the clutter here and there, all of those pending items. Like really, it needs to be whipped out and cleaned out. The coffin, bird, and child is a lovely combination for beginnings and endings. Every time we see the child and coffin together, the message is really, really clear. It's very obvious. The bird in the middle can be about, you know, taking that stand, communicating certain things to others. Maybe at some point you say, I am calling it a day because I'm moving on to do this project, represented by your theme cards. Or you might actually end some communication, meaning like you release some people like we saw. So this is basically, you know, the idea of not talking to someone anymore or not being involved in something anymore and moving on to a new beginning. So it can take on these possibilities. The scythe, snake, and fox. I have to say this is quite a tough combination. It's also your central column in the 3x5. And you know, it is a snake bite, you know, because we have the scythe, and the fox can point to a trap. So, you know, something tough is going to happen. The way I'm feeling it for you in light of the theme and everything is something breaks, and it's a breakup or it's a separation or it's like a sharp no more in some form or another. I think it's possible that there's something pretty tense that happens between you and someone else. You know, we do have people cards, so maybe that is also happening. But I also think that an important angle at these cards is your sense of decisiveness. So I think you're going to reach a point where you can't be messed with anymore. I think people are just going to have to take you a bit more seriously moving forward. And that's a good thing. That is because, you know, you're getting serious about your project and your life and your time. Okay? So you are, you know, you're going to have to set some boundaries. And some people are going to have to hear it and they're not going to like it, but you know what? How are you going to move forward? The last two columns are fantastic. And you know, the later cards in a line, in a portrait, they tend to be more associated with future-most aspects of the story, therefore closer to the outcome. The house, heart, and bear is really good for home and family. These are strong bonds. Your parents can be indicated here. Maybe a tough conversation was happening with them, you know, and then they realized that you did the right thing. But really the house being in your theme cards most probably refers to the theme itself, which is what you're building. And with the heart and bear, you're going to find a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction with this. I think this is really important for you. I think this is about your life, your future, your life purpose. And when I see these cards together, I'm seeing a happy, whole heart. Okay, so it's got to be the right thing for you. This is where you're feeling in alignment with what you are doing. And of course, there's a lot of power here, a lot of empowerment. You could be your own boss at this point. Yeah, with the house and fish, and you know, you're your own boss. I really think for some of you, this can be about starting your own business. And I'm not saying, you know, you have to make some, yes, you do have to make some radical changes. What these changes are specifically in your life, I can't tell, but you can tell me. But it's clear that some things are going to have to change seriously if you want to make this happen. And there is a people element to it, and there is a challenging element to it, and they are part of the formula. And the last column is so beautiful. Flowers, dog, and stars. Now, in terms of a business, I like to look at the dog as customers, partners, and you know, other people who support you. So with the flowers and star, you could actually get some really good outreach for your business, for your project, or that creative thing that you put out there. It is probably going to be really well received. You can get actually quite a bit of recognition for it. It can be success on a somewhat grand scale. It can be something like popularity, appreciation, honors, you know, and recognition. People are supportive, so the dog is also the card of friends. And with the flowers and stars, a lot of healing is possible. You know, both the flowers and the star are healing cards. And so in view of this, there can be healing. You know, sometimes people are not encouraging, and then they see what you're capable of and they're like, oh wow, that's amazing, and you know, they backtrack on their initial negativity, and that may well happen. You know, that is very possible. But of course, the main message across all of these possibilities is that the star is a wish fulfillment card, and achievement is very much in view. And so I really think this is going to be worth your while. No, some steps or some parts of this journey are not easy, but they are worth your while. And there are lessons, and serious lessons, in personal growth when you say no, when you prioritize, when you restructure certain elements so that you can create room and space for you to build what you know is part of your heart. You know, that part of your heart, it needs to come out and manifest in this project, this business, or whatever it is you're building here that's going to bring you quite a bit of prosperity. So basically, this is a smashing success combination. You know, just putting it in plain words like that, you are in for a lot of success. This has a lot of potential. I don't think you should waste the opportunity. You should build your thing now. You should get to work on this. And a lot of the personal growth, I feel, is going to come through the tough part here, where you're going to sort through what is going to stay, what is going to go, how you're going to move away from the distractions, how you're going to clear off your plate so that you can focus on what is genuinely important for you. And you're going to have that sense of engagement and a happy heart, like a full sense of fulfillment, you know, towards this project that is going to bear fruit and achieve what you probably envisioned. So this is a really beautiful set of cards for you to hear at this time in your journey. Your focus is on material success. Your focus is on building something real, solid, that lasts, that is part of who you are, what you want to do, be, have in this life. You know, definitely, it sounds like a really critical juncture, okay? And the work is real work, okay? This is no kidding, this is no joking. This is the real work that you're gonna sit down here and sort through. You're gonna get serious about this, and you're gonna make it happen. So these are some lovely cards. I am so looking forward to your feedback on this. Let me know if you're gonna strike out and pull off that business, pull off that project. What is it you're gonna produce, put out in the world for you, for others, for, you know, what your existence is about? I really wanna hear that from you. Very, very best of luck with this. Leave me any thoughts or questions. Let's have a look at them. And I am, as always, looking forward to our next reading together. Before I let you go, I want to make mention of Lenormand. This is a very unique deck that I specialize in and that I love. And you might know that I'm one of the few people who actually offers an end-to-end master course in this method. I have a whole lot of links for you in the description box, a whole lot of resources ranging from the free downloadables all the way to the master course. So do have a look. And I have the blog and other resources, so check out the website. And of course, I offer private readings if that's what you're interested in. So thanks again for tuning in. And again, very best of luck with this amazing story here. Let me know how it goes. And until our next time together, take very good care of yourself. Okay, here we are with reading number 2. And like I said, we are going to be drawing your theme cards with the Game of Hope. This is this large deck from the Game of Hope, and this will drive the rest of the reading, which we're going to do with these 3 decks. So I'm going to draw 3 cards for your theme cards so that we see what we need to focus on for you right now in your journey. So I'm going to draw 3 cards from the top. This is the Child, this is the Clouds, and the Moon. Well, these are pretty cards, actually. Now, the Clouds can muddy things up a little bit, and with the Moon, there can be a little bit of an illusion aspect at play. But what I really think this is gonna have us focus on is, first, there is a new beginning. And second, with the Moon, it can be like a new moon. So this tells us that we are in a new phase. It is time for you to turn the page on something and move on. Now, with the Clouds in the middle here, the Clouds can be a bit of a challenging card. It is a very psychological card. It's about thoughts and thinking, and it can cause confusion and a lack of clarity. With the Moon, sometimes the dark side of the Moon comes through, but I like that the Moon is on the right side of the triplet, and also the Child is a generally very bright and positive card because it has to do with the joy and openness and innocence of children. And so when I see it with the Clouds, there can be a couple of possibilities that come through for you. For one, you might feel that you're not ready to start something. You might want to take it in steps or in phases, and that is perfectly fine. And in another sense, the Clouds can bring out a bit more of your creativity and the idea of clarifying your desire. So what is it you want out of the next phase? You could be a little bit confused about your priorities or what you really want, your desires, your true desires. And so this is going to require some clarity. Now, because the Clouds is in the middle here of the line, it really puts this in the middle of it, quite literally. The idea that you want to think about things and that you want to clarify certain matters, that you want to be clear about what your priorities are so that you can move into this new beginning. But it is pretty clear from the cards that this is a new phase. And I also suspect that you have to turn the page. You know, I think this is now the next natural step for you. And maybe this is causing you a bit of nervousness and anxiety, and you're not sure what to expect. And so this is where your sense of priority and your visioning process comes through. And this is interesting because this is pretty opposite to what I saw in the previous reading, where it was a lot more tangible. But with these cards, this is more about the visioning, the thinking, the clarification process that you go through in your mind, when you align with yourself, when you bring things together under a clear picture, so that then you can move forward in a direction that has pull power, that has clarity and therefore pull power. So this is about your creativity in the sense that you are going to start working on the inside, the ideas that are going to eventually manifest, what you're going to focus on so that it eventually projects out. And yes, this is about a new beginning and a new phase. So what are you going to create for yourself in the coming phase? Nice theme. Let's keep these aside and let's start drawing the cards so that we draw on this theme. I'm going to start with the bigger deck. It's always more practical. It's also nicer. And it is going to be our first line. I'm doing a line of 5. I'm doing 3 lines of 5. And we're going to read them in layers like we have been recently. So let's go ahead and deal out 5. Interesting cards. The dog in the picture would represent someone, but the thing about the book is that it's about anything that is unknown. And then we have a curious whip and rider figuring after the book. The tree is a very supportive card. The tree is about spending time on your own. It has to do with your sense of rootedness, your centeredness. It is a card of wisdom and evolution. And in the context of your theme, it is very helpful because the tree is a bit of a solitude kind of card, and it invites us to take a bit of time out, sit under a tree, as it were, and ponder things. And definitely with the clouds and these theme cards, you need to think things through. Now, the thing about the dog and book is, and there's going to be a number of possibilities that come out for you here, but for starters, the dog and book can point to learning and knowledge. So the tree is also supportive with that because it has to do with growth and wisdom, and of course the tree of life, and the secrets. So in the first part of your line, it might be a good idea to explore something, a subject matter, the options, to do some research, because the clouds suggests that you have confusion, right? So what you can do is to start with, working through some facts, through some information, doing some reading, doing some research. The dog and book, along with the tree, can also be someone with knowledge, someone with experience, who could probably help you through and give you some ideas, some inspiration about how you can envision your new phase, the things you might do as you walk into this new phase, and any other supportive information that will help you forward, or where you feel you have gaps and you need someone's input. And what's really interesting is that the whip and rider are very opposite in energy to these quiet cards. The whip is normally a card of challenge. When I see it with the rider, though, I take it to mean speeding up. So we have like a slower phase here, and then we have a quick phase on the other side of the book. And the whip on the other side of the book can also mean that something cracks open. So something that was hidden or put away comes through. The book is open. The Rider is also a card of messengers and news. And so it delivers information, especially with these cards. It tends to be a helpful person, although the Whip is a challenging card. But again, I feel that once you are empowered with the right knowledge, you're going to have the energy and the momentum and the green light to move forward. So as it stands, you could feel a bit stuck, but it might surprise you how easily you can move forward and how quickly you can pick up and move forward once you're empowered with the right information. So don't hesitate to ask people or to ask trusted friends, to do your own research, to explore a certain topic or some information or subject matter, and then you will soon, it's almost like you get an aha kind of moment where you see, oh, I get it, now I can move forward. And we see that you move forward here. Now, another way to read the line is in a more challenging angle, where there is news that comes through, and that is probably shocking news, more or less, or unexpected news. And this might rock your boat a little bit, or perhaps you might need to do something about it, and you have to respond to this with urgency. And this news is revealed through this side of the line, and it might be coming through this person. It is possible that this person was holding something back and they were not really sharing, or they were hesitating. But with this side of the line, we see that it comes out. And yet another possibility is that you're doing your thinking, you're doing your envisioning, and then when you're ready, you're going to take action. And I think this interpretation is not dependent on other people and other circumstances outside of you, and it aligns really well with the theme that we're seeing for you through these cards. So again, there is a need to focus and prepare. This is an inside job. And from the order of the cards and from the focus of your theme, it's clear that you want to spend a generous amount of time on that. This is worth your time. You really want to have a clear idea in your mind about what you want in the next phase, about what you're going to pursue in the next phase. And then once that is clear, it's almost like the rest of it flows. You know, the rest of it comes quickly, you know. What is holding you back right now is the need to clarify. And it's not really a holding back. It's like you need to spend time on this. You need to clarify your objectives, your intentions, where you're heading. And then once that locks in, it's like this momentum, you know, flows through, and you have a lot of energy and a lot of speed, and you can pick up the pace because you know so clearly where you're heading. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to you, you know, but I do think that the cards are pretty clear in guiding you to focus on this part of the situation first. And it's certainly well captured by your theme cards. Okay, so these are a few possibilities. Let's move on to the second line. This is my own deck, the Silhouettes deck, and we're going to draw another line of 5 on top of these first 5 and see what else we are seeing for you. Another book, another child, and the letter, news cards like the Rider. Okay, these are supportive cards because they're tightly aligned with what we are seeing so far. Now, I'm seeing another parallel here between these two and these two. So the Mountain is a card that can be an obstacle. It can, yes, sometimes it's associated with a place abroad, it's associated with travel, but I don't think this is what we're seeing with the Mountain here. With the book, there is information that is held off. It's like things are a bit stuck or on a freeze kind of state, and things are a little bit off limits. So this is again about having to dig in a little bit inside yourself with information, asking questions, researching, and of course going within as you move into this new beginning. We have the child right in the center of the line. The child is in the theme cards. I am getting a confirmation of this beginning, and because of the book, and we're going to read the columns at the end, there are some things that are unknown to you, and I feel this could be contributing to a bit of nervousness, a bit of anxiety, and so this is where the idea of empowering yourself with as much vision and knowledge as you can is going to help you move forward. And then we have the letter, which aligns with the rider because it's a news card as well, and the cross is a very important message and possibly also a sign that comes through. So again, we're seeing a similar structure in the cards as we saw in the first line. There is like diving into the matter, researching, digging things out kind of phase. And then once that is done, once you're ready, there is like a communication that comes through, and it has to do with a decision that you made, especially with the cross, and it's almost like an announcement that you're able to make. So you're able to take tangible steps once the groundwork is in place. I have to say also that the book and letter is a special combination, and I know they're not immediately adjacent to each other, but they're pretty close, and it points to some very important news that could come through a bit sooner than you anticipate, which is interesting because the whip and rider is also a speedier kind of combination. So again, we're getting a sense that there's it's like you're building the momentum, and then it almost like unleashes out, as soon as like you reach that critical mass of momentum, it boils over, and you have that flow and that speed that picks up. But you have to build that momentum. You have to sort of feed your vortex, as it were, with this energy, this knowledge, this empowerment, and this soul searching and clarification process that you're going through right now, so that you are sharp and you know where you're heading once you've made that decision. And once you do, it looks like there is this new beginning that opens up. You probably share it, and with the cross, it might feel like it's a big deal, and it probably is. And also, I'm suspecting, also because of the whip, that not everyone is on board with you. It's possible that you're going to face people who are not as enthusiastic about this as you, or perhaps they're going to throw challenges your way that are going to fuel more thinking and more search, if you like, as you move forward. And the clouds could also pour into this. They could bring in like the doubt that you feel could be directed at you for the choice that you're about to make, for this new beginning that you're about to anticipate. But that's fine, because this is about you and your journey, and that's also why you want to really align with what you want. And in this line, we have a clear indication of the need to establish certainty, not for others, not so that you don't receive, this naysayer kind of attitude, but for you, so that you are confident in your path, so that you are really resonating with it. And sometimes we get annoyed that people are naysayers, but actually you might want to observe that a little bit, because it could mirror a naysaying within you. Life is a mirror, right? And the people around us, they tend to mirror something within us. So when you are met with discouragement or criticism, yes, there are many times where it doesn't resonate, and it's not, it's not fitting. But usually when it's like that, it doesn't have a bite on you. It doesn't affect you. It's like water off a duck's back. But when it does affect you, if you feel that it is itching you, or it pokes at you, then have a look, because maybe there is something within you that can open up and give you more insight into what you are aligning with here. Okay, so have clarity, develop your clarity, your intuition, your sense of insight. Be observant inside and out, because you're building energy and you're accumulating momentum to turn into a new beginning. And it's almost like once you turn into it, like you're going to move forward pretty fast. So again, a confirmation of a new beginning, and we are going to look at those columns. Let's move on to the third line. And this is the Mystical Lenormand. It's a very beautiful deck as well. And we'll draw it again on top. So here's another dog. We have two dogs. This is the anchor. I like this. It works well with the tree. The beautiful house and the lily. Wow. And the sun. Wow. These are nice cards. I like this. I am seeing here the fruit of your labor. So this is a set of very tangible cards, especially the anchor and house. This is about building something really solid. And then we have the beautiful lily and sun, which points to all around success. The lily is a card of career. It's also about your life in general. And the dog is a supportive friend. So this is really nice to see, because the wobbliness and the uncertainty and the confusion that we see in the clouds, and we also see somewhat in your cards, is resolved in this bottom line. The anchor and house are very solid, and the dog points to supportive friends around you, and the lily and sun confirms that you are on the right track, building towards success. And the sun is really nice at the end of this 3x5. You know, it's very much an outcome situation here. So all around success is very much indicated in your cards. This is a really nice line to see, especially in contrast with everything else. So just a few details here. The dog and anchor is a solid friendship, just like the tree and dog. The anchor and house is very much about staying put in a physical sense, but I'm thinking it's more about resolving the doubts, you know, the lack of clarity, where you have now a solid foundation that you're building on. And we see with the lily and sun, a career success, a life success, a major milestone, and also, very importantly, feeling in alignment with what you're doing in life. So this is a really beautiful message. You know, I really want to emphasize that. It's like here you were having issues. You weren't sure what's going on, what's this new beginning, how you feel about it, where you're heading. There's quite a bit of doubt and uncertainty and self-doubt. But with the bottom row here, it's like you land on this strong, solid situation where you have supportive friends, where you have a strong foundation. It can be a home and a family in a very literal sense, or maybe this thing that you're building for yourself and your life. And it is going to bring a sense of long-term security with the lily and sun. You know, so this is very reassuring. The issues that you are working through are going to be resolved in a very strong and successful way for you. You are going to find yourself. You're going to find that ground, that foundation out of which you are going to build the success that you're after. It is happening. And, you know, I love seeing it in the last line, because it's like, you know, we've been building the layers and going through, you know, the areas that you're going to go through. And then it's like you achieve, you know, you resolve the issues here and you land on a solid foundation. The sun is an all-around success card. So success is very much in your cards. And with the lily, I really feel this is about your life as a whole, but it might also be in a more specific area of your life. So for example, if the lily tells us to focus on your work and your career, we sort of revise the cards in light of this theme. We could be looking at maybe a new job, right? With the child and moon. Maybe you're thinking of an offer that comes your way. Maybe that was, you weren't sure if you want to move on to something else. And so here we see that there is a successful resolution in terms of your work and career, where you land and you build on something really solid. It can be a promotion, it can be more security, it can be more responsibility and growth and personal development. You are definitely building towards like higher levels in your life, whether that is in money, for example. You're going from smaller amounts to bigger amounts. You're building your security. With work, it could be that you're starting out as a junior, and notice that we had education and learning cards in here. And the lily is more about senior people, and a sense of deeper experience. And the sun is all around success. So again, I really think that at this point you are going to find yourself. You're going to find your ground. And so this can be a really empowering time. And certainly the doubts and the issues and this nebulous state of mind that you are experiencing is resolved. You achieve clarity, you achieve direction, and a sense of personal power is unmistakable in your cards. Now, looking at the columns, I think we can get a few more insights, especially the people element that comes through the dog. We have the tree, mountain, and dog in this column here. And the tree and mountain, they have some energies in common. They're both pretty solid. They don't move, as it were. They give you a strong back. Okay, and with the dog, I feel this is someone whom you can trust. The only thing is that the mountain can be a little bit distant, so it tends to be a bit cold in relationships. It can also suggest that there is someone abroad or maybe online that who could support you. Okay, but it's also possible that this is about you, in the sense that the dog is the junior. Okay, so the dog is the less experienced. And the reason I think this can be a good way to interpret the cards for you is because of the child and the moon. It's like you're starting something new. You're moving into a new phase. So you don't have all the experience. You don't know all of it. And that's where we have this learning and education and growth that we're seeing. In your cards, we have the book twice. We have it next to the tree in here. We have it at a diagonal with the tree in here. And I really feel that you might want to pick up some new skills, some new knowledge that will help you grow. And that will also help you resolve these doubts. We also have the book and child. So again, a new chapter, a new branch of knowledge, new set of skills. And with the two dogs here, which like I said is the card of the junior, you need to get a hang of this. You need to pick up these skills, give yourself time, of course, to practice, to learn. And you will find that this is worth your time. This is gonna help you build something for the long term and something you're gonna do really well in. And it will give you a sense of security and fulfillment. And it's not just that it's giving you a sense like it's psychological. No, it's real, tangible progress, real growth, real results. So these are some really powerful cards. The dog, book, and anchor is very much about knowing your stuff, as it were, getting the facts right. It's important that you grow more confidence in your knowledge, in your skills, in your expertise. And also with the dog, you want to stick with it, So like I said, there is a sense of maturing in your cards, a sense of doing what it takes, going through the process of growth, getting a hang of these skills, of this knowledge. The dog and book, and we have the dog and book in several combinations. Notice we have two books here in this diagonal. It can represent someone whom you do not know. And with the child in a number of places, it can also point to a new relationship. I think this is a relationship that grows supportive, it grows over time, and it turns out to be someone whom you can trust. And we have a strong indication of this here. It's just that I feel that it could take a bit of time. Maybe it comes from you, you know, maybe you're the one who wants to take your time, or both of you. But this is a solid friendship, and you will find that this is someone who is supportive. The book Child and House is without question a new beginning. The house can mean that it's a new home. And I can't dismiss this possibility. We do have the Whip and Rider, which sort of shook everything out. And so maybe that's a move. The Rider can be a movement card. And then in the bottom row, like I said, there's like a landing, you know, because of the anchor and house. It's like you find yourself. So maybe it's not just internal, or it's, you know, about your path and you're finding which way you're heading in that metaphorical and not so metaphorical sense, but also in a straight up physical, where do I live, where do I stand kind of situation. That is a possibility. I can't dismiss the possibility. But with the house in a metaphorical sense, it is about this new place, this new space, and this new foundation that you're building for yourself. So this is a new house that you're building for yourself in a metaphorical sense. It's a project. It's an important project. It's going to affect your life, your lifestyle on the long term, your long-term security. Now, the Whip, Letter, and Lily is an interesting set of cards. Again, I'm seeing this dynamic here where we have the Whip and Book, Whip and Letter, Whip and Rider, and also Whip and Child and Whip and Cross. There is a shaking up that happens at some point, and I feel that it comes as like an aha moment type of thing. The news might come suddenly, it might come quickly. It's like we said earlier, you're building, and then boom, it's like the what do they say? The straw that broke the camel's back, but in a positive way. So it's like you're accumulating all of this energy, and it's like it pressurizes, right? And then it just pops, and then it boils over, and you have that flow and that momentum that goes through. And with the Lily here, this can be something a bit more official, where it might be a contract, or it might be something formalized and things like that, or it could be news that has another impact on your life. But it's certainly going to shake things up, and it's going to affect your life, your lifestyle, and your work. And then the Rider, Cross, and Sun is a beautiful combination, a confirmation that you are on the right track. The Cross has a challenging aspect. And yes, there is a challenging aspect in your cards. We saw that in your theme. But the Cross is also a card of destiny, of deep life lessons. And when I see it with the Rider and Sun for you, especially in light of the bottom line here, it's like you are now on the right track. It is that almost like a divine message that you are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. It's like it's all come together. That's a great affirmation, by the way. Affirm to yourself, say over and over, I am in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Keep affirming. And all of these pieces in your life, they sort of come together, and you feel like you are doing what you're meant to do. And it's a big deal. You know, it's a big deal. The Cross is a big card, and so is the Sun. And with the Rider, we see that flow, that momentum, the speed that you have. You know, now that you've aligned and you've resolved the issues, you know, it's like it's like a flow that opens up. So that is a recurring theme in your cards. You know, this idea that you're building, focusing, and then it opens up, you know. And it is also a combination of achievement, of positive conclusions. Although I feel what's happening is that the path opens up. It's not like something ends. I feel the opposite happens. I feel that it's this flow that opens up in view of resolving the doubts that you initially had. But it's also a combination of success. And I think the success is very much about finding yourself, landing in that space. You know, this is wonderful, actually. This is a real blessing. You may just feel like you have found your purpose. You know, it can be that big. I can't dismiss that, you know, especially with these cards. The lily, the cross, you know, the strong foundations with the anchor and house. And also, the sun is very nice to see with the clouds, because it's like the light at the end of the tunnel is the silver lining. And I think these are soft ways of putting it, actually. I think the sun is a lot more powerful than the clouds. So the doubts are resolved. You have clarity, if not enlightenment. Yeah? So these are some very beautiful messages. I'm going to encourage you to stick with it, to do the work, to give yourself time, to be patient with yourself as you learn, because this is a very powerful unfolding, and at some point it's going to pour out into the world, and you're going to find yourself, and you're going to find this very important direction that is opening up for you. Remember, it's a new phase. It's a new phase, and you're going to love it. Okay, so do the work, be patient, put in the knowledge, you know, the practice, the skills, the patience with yourself, be willing to learn and grow. And I am confident that you are going to very much appreciate yourself for having put in the work, because you're gonna meet with a lot of fulfillment and a sense of, I am doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing right here, right now. Remember to affirm this. I hope you've enjoyed these messages. I certainly want to hear from you what you think is crystallizing, forming, what you're envisioning for yourself. I would really love to know. And of course, leave me your thoughts and comments and any questions or thoughts about this. Let's have a look through. So thank you so much for tuning in. Before I let you go, I want to remind you that I am one of the few people who focuses and specializes in Lenormand, and I've made it my mission to create a robust program to master this amazing deck. I've got lots of information in the description box, a whole lot of links, and a whole lot of other resources, not just the end-to-end program. And of course, I offer private readings if that's what you're interested in. Just check out all of the links in the description box. So thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Very best of luck with this very exciting transition. Let me know how it goes. And until our next time together, take very good care of yourself. Okay, let's get into the third reading. We are going to start with the Game of Hope deck. It's a pretty large deck, and I'm just going to draw 3 cards out of here so that we have a theme for you to focus on at this point in your journey. And then with these decks, we're going to get into the reading and get into the details of what's going on with this area that's going to be represented by these first 3 cards. So I'm just going to pull them off the top. And let's see what you get. This is the rider, the bird. Oh, wow. All 3 cards are news cards. The rider, the bird, and the letter. So communication is central. It is everything. All 3 cards are focused on this. This is a pretty amazing set of cards, I have to say. When each of these 3 cards is on its own about news, and we have all 3 of them together. So very clearly, the focus is on news and communication. Maybe you receive the news, or maybe you send it out. And there is also a speedy energy here. All 3 cards are faster paced cards, so it can mean that you're on a timeline and that you are in need of hurrying maybe, or perhaps you're losing patience waiting for the news if it's about receiving the news. And obviously, with all 3 cards being about communication, it's going to be really important to communicate clearly. So this is going to be about collaborating, listening, talking, being clear, and I would also say some focus on details, being attentive to what's between the lines, for example, and things like that. So you are going to need to focus on the communication. It can be emails, it can be phone calls, it can be all of it. It is the interaction. Okay, this is going to be really key. It's also possible that because of the bird, especially since it's in the middle, that you might be negotiating a contract that can be represented by the letter, and the writer could be bringing you this offer or these, this opportunity that is represented by the letter in terms of a contract or some kind of agreement. Okay, so this interaction, the exchange, is very critical for you at this stage. Now, from these cards, I don't really know in what area of life this is figuring. It might depend on you, your specifics, but it usually, when we have something specific like the letter, it would be focused on an area. But it doesn't have to be. It can be a broader kind of theme happening for you where you are focusing on, what needs to be agreed on, the terms, the communication, the news, and probably also the feedback or the green light that helps you move forward. So very interesting. All three cards are communication cards. So let's put these a bit aside and let's start drawing your 5 cards. So I'm going to do a line of 5 3 times with 3 different decks, starting with Titania's fortune cards, and we're going to get into the details of this news, this communication, the interaction, or possibly even the contract that is captured in these 3 cards. Okay, wow. So, man and woman figuring together, and we have the book at the end of the line. The book is another one of those, a bit like the letter. And with the anchor, I am seeing this sense of an agreement. Now, seeing the man and woman together is a pretty powerful combination. They're right next to each other. This is a couple, normally. And obviously, it is highlighting the 2 parties, and it is very well aligned with your theme cards. The anchor and book is an agreement. It's a conclusion. And I really like seeing these cards on the other side of the clouds, because the clouds is a bit of a challenging card. It can point to lack of clarity, confusion, when things aren't clear and there's a problem and it needs to be sorted. And with the anchor and book on the other side of the clouds, it's pretty clear that it will be sorted. And this is really thanks to your theme cards here, focusing on the communication, giving and taking, and certainly giving this time. You absolutely want to stick with the process of clarifying the matter and coming to an agreement. The anchor on the other side of the clouds is great because it brings certainty and a positive conclusion. But because the book is at the end, so it would have been cooler if the book were earlier, but it's still a really supportive combination. It is possible that you focus on certain details moving forward, but really the anchor on the other side of the clouds helps seal off the confusion, and it helps you come to an agreement. I want to suggest that you be willing to compromise to some extent. The anchor is not really prone to compromise. It tends to be more stubborn and more, rigid, about boundaries and certain things. But because it's next to the clouds, you might want to be a little bit flexible. And also with the anchor and book, you want to focus on a positive conclusion, on finding the common ground. So really being solution oriented, and I can also add in there being objective. We have a lot of this communication and knowledge cards, and the details. So, trying to be objective and focusing on the positive conclusion, the common ground, like sorting things through will help you achieve a positive conclusion. Like I said, this idea of a contract, of a collaboration, possibly an opportunity that comes through these exciting news cards is ahead. And it's possible that you get the deal or the contract or the offer, whatever it may be in your specifics. It's just that there are some details to sort through. Not everything falls into place from the get-go, so there's going to need to be negotiations and a conversation and a solution-oriented attitude in order to come to common ground and come to an agreement about what this deal is going to look like. Now, to be honest, even though we have the man and the woman, I'm not really getting a sense of romance, in the cards, but it can be the case where it's about you and your person, and you need to clarify some differences, and you do, so really giving this time, the time that it deserves, and being focused on communicating clearly. Another suggestion is that get clear in your mind as well. So it's best to figure out what you want to say before you say it, so that you don't cause, more confusion, or you say the wrong thing and then you backtrack and things like that. Like try to, maybe slow down a little bit and think about what you want to say. And when it comes to like a professional context, what matters is, being certain of the information, checking your facts and making sure you've got the right information. But in general, the issue that is represented by the clouds, or the things that need to be figured out that are represented by the clouds, are figured out. Communication is key. It's everything. And it leads to a positive conclusion in this line. So yes, this is a collaboration. The people element is very clearly captured in the cards. This is about giving and taking and finding solutions and coming to an agreement, which you do. So this is great. Let's move on to the next line. I will use the Silhouettes deck. This is my own deck, and it's like a medium size between these two. I'm going to do another line of 5 on top of this one. Let's see what we get. Another anchor. Oh, the road. Interesting. It's also a travel card, a bit like the Rider. Beautiful star and beautiful fish. Okay, this is nice. So the fish could be guiding the theme or the context. This is the theme. But the context, like where this is happening. The fish is a card of money, and so this can be about work and business, and so this can be a contract in this sense. The star is a wish fulfillment card, so this is another confirmation that you come to a positive conclusion. The anchor is not bright like the sun, the key, the clover, the star. It tends to be associated with success, but it doesn't have that shine, that we see with the star and sun, that beautiful wish fulfillment energy. But the star is really bringing it into the picture. So the line, I feel, is very straightforward. The dog and anchor is a supportive relationship, a supportive friendship, and it is about sticking with it, staying with this, and with the road, on the other side of the anchor, when these two come together, it's not about change as the road might normally be, but with the anchor, it's about sticking with the current path. So keep doing what you're doing, keep pursuing this collaboration, this connection, this friendship. It is really positive. And we see on the other side of the road that it does lead to success. So this is a venture that is going to be very fulfilling. You have some very strong financial prospects that could be coming through this, or other material benefits. And also it aligns with your aspirations and your ambitions, because actually sometimes the fish is about dreams, interestingly enough. And when we have the star, which is, that big aspiration card that is also connected with faith, we see that you are really on the path to success. And I have to say, it's not small success. This can be a big deal. This can be quite a bit more money, quite a bit more opportunity and prosperity. So it's really important that you stick with this relationship. This does add another dimension to the reading. Earlier in the line, in the previous line, we have the clouds and anchor, and they do come on the other side of the man and woman, which represent the partnership, the relationship. And the thing about the clouds and anchor is that it can cause a bit of hesitation and wobbliness, where you lose a bit your faith, where you lose trust, where you're no longer, it's like you're on shaky grounds. So you're no longer as sure as you were. But what is really nice about this second line is that it resolves this, and you stick with the relationship, and it leads to wonderful, wonderful results. And actually, it's resolved in the first line when we see the anchor on the other side of the clouds. But the second line really is powerful in its message because of the star and fish. So we have powerful wish fulfillment cards, and we have a very clear combination that suggests that you are sticking with this relationship and it will lead to success. Now, if this is about a personal connection, for example, like a personal relationship, which it may well be, like I said, even though I'm not picking up these super romantic cards, the man and woman together, so close to each other, like right next to each other, can represent a partnership. And maybe you've been experiencing some doubts in your relationship. Maybe it's been a bit on a shaky ground, whether because of itself or maybe external factors have been, rocking the boat of the relationship. But like we saw in the first line, you stick with it, and another beautiful confirmation through the second line that you stick with it and it leads to wonderful successes. I have to say that the dog is more about friendship than romance, but it's still really good for loyalty, especially with the anchor. So this is a good word to use. If trust was shaky, trust is reestablished. So you regain your faith in the relationship. And the star is really powerful for this. So these are some really beautiful cards. I mean, whether it is in a work collaboration, in a friendship, or in a love relationship, you're able to resolve whatever specific issues were represented by the clouds, and you land on a sense of certainty and trust and faith in what is unfolding from this. And if this is a work opportunity, it can lead to wonderful results for you. The star and fish are also nice in love and romance. They're very good. The fish especially is really good for the physical aspects of the relationship. So that could be a deeply fulfilling aspect. But it's also maybe bigger than that. The idea that there is healing and faith that is, reestablished in the relationship, that you trust each other again, and that you resolve any doubts you had in this connection. So these are some really beautiful cards. And do keep in mind that you are on the right track and you are achieving your goals. So don't have doubt in yourself. Resolve these doubts inside and out, and you'll find yourself on the right path. And this said, the reading is very much focused on a relationship, on communication and interaction. This is really not a time for solo. This is very much about another person, another party, a collaboration, and it's really critical for you, and it opens up wonderful, wonderful opportunities. Okay, let's move on to the third deck here. We're going to draw a third line of 5. See what else we get about this communication that is looking really effective with wonderful results. This is the house, the clover, and the key. The garden. This is the card of community and society. And the mountain. Okay, this is, the mountain's a bit sort of off, but these cards are very bright cards. So the clover and key are wish fulfillment cards. So this is goal achievement in the clearest sense. And the house is about your home, your family, but also your closer circle of friends, people whom you trust. And I also think this is about potentially the foundations that you're building, and the solidity that we see through the two anchors, is strengthened by the house and actually by the mountain as well. The mountain can be challenging at times, but because of the garden, which is the card of place, it can highlight a different location. And in this sense, you might be moving or taking a trip. And actually, I can't dismiss this as a possibility. The rider and bird can bring up travel, okay? And in this sense, the letter can be paperwork, documents that you need for that, or communications that you need to, express for that. So it's possible. So if we revise the cards in light of this additional angle, you could be going for a trip. You could have an opportunity to go somewhere. Now, I have to say though that when I see this line here, the house and the key in the middle, the house and key sometimes, they can be associated with real estate. And so maybe you're buying a house. And if it's not about buying per se, or, this business as a transaction or as an investment, it's like finding the right home. And with the mountain, these two at the corner, maybe you are looking to move or to create some kind of foothold or having a place in a different location. We have 3 cards of place: the house, garden, and mountain. So that can be highlighted. And in this column, where we have the road and key, even though we have the clouds that can, create a bit of a bumpy ride, you might in fact be looking at making a home somewhere else, or in addition to where you are, having a foothold. And maybe this is something that you do with this person, or maybe this person helps you do this, or maybe they are in that location. It can really depend on the specifics of your scenario. But the clover and key are success cards. So the resolution that we saw earlier is confirmed. And I also feel there is a sense of settling on a solution and finding the right solution. And, it's interesting because earlier when I was suspecting, why the book is on the other side of the anchor and not before, I felt that it sort of keeps things a little bit open. And what I'm seeing here is that in the top line, you agree to disagree, and you agree to work on things until you get to the bottom of them. And we see that in this last line, you achieve this. The key is a card of solutions, resolutions, and positive conclusions. And with the house and clover, which is very beautiful, it's like there is a landing. There's like, this is it. We've arrived. We can now build something. And the mountain is pretty solid. It's an unmoving card. It can be a bit rigid. It can be a bit of an obstacle. But like I said, because of the garden, it's like there's the element of place that comes through. And so we do see that there is a very positive conclusion. It was definitely worth it sticking with it and giving, the other person time and listening and talking and negotiating and figuring things out, and you land on the right conclusion. The clover is one of the brightest cards of the deck, and it really confirms that you have found the right solution, or you will find the right solution. And with the garden and mountain, it can be within a space, within a certain community, a certain environment. And it's like there is a strong landing and there is a strong connection. It's like the fabric is weaved, you know, so there's like a sense of security and foundation that is very much established. And this comes into contrast to the doubt and the wobbliness that we saw earlier in the line, but you've stuck with it and you've worked together as a team and you have focused on the right conclusions and you've arrived. So the bottom line is a combination of success. Any way you look at it, the clover and key are very, very positive. And like I said, there was this possibility of maybe travel and maybe finding a foothold abroad. You know, it's like the solution presents itself. And there is a gathering and there is a coming together and there is an agreement. It's like this opens up the next phase, you know, the next stage. So communication is really the master key. This is the tool that will help you resolve any doubts, any uncertainty, or to work through something wobbly or something that has caused your boat to rock. It is resolved and you find your ground and you find the right solutions. And I have to say, I am picking up a lot of happiness from these three cards here. You know, the clover, key, and garden is feeling really anchored within a space, with a person, within a community, and there is like a sense of security and inner security, not just, you know, outer, like a space and a home and a place, you know, but no, there's like a sense of assurance and a sense of like being in the right environment. I have to say that when it comes to a personal relationship, like the love relationship between the man and the woman, with these cards, it's possible that you decide to make a home together. And in this sense, I suspect that you might consider in a different place. And it's like there is total agreement on how this is going to work out. You know, it's like you feel that you're doing the right thing and it feels right. You know, both the clover and key are also, you know, they have a spiritual aspect. They tend to be associated with, you know, the destiny and the invisible undercurrents. The star is also a bit like that. But the clover and key, they give like a bit of luck. You know, they have that push of luck, good fortune, so to speak. So it's like things fall into place. Yes, they fall into place. That's the right word. They fall into place in a physical sense. This is good. In a physical sense, they fall into place. We have three cards of place, but also in a metaphorical sense, it's like you land and you're in the right place emotionally, physically, personally, in the relationship, in the collaboration. It's really good. Now, if it's not about love, these are really good cards too. In this sense, the work aspect does really well. You could be working on your own projects that are bearing fruit, that you succeed at. The garden and mountain can bring up collaborations abroad, which really highlights, you know, the importance of communication here. It could also be online, and the garden can represent the marketplace in this sense, whether it's online or offline. So you could be going from the smaller space to the bigger space that is represented by the garden. And this is a suggestion to sort of go public, you know what I mean? To put your stuff out there. Okay, so the house is indoors, inside, and the garden is outdoors, outside. The house is few people, yourself, your family, your close circle. The garden is the community at large. And so when we see the clover and key between them, it's like there's a progression of you opening up to the outside world. So in this sense, this partnership here, this collaboration really helps you put your stuff out there. And I'm reminded of the second row and how you had that dog and anchor, very supportive friendship, trustworthy person, helps you on this path to success. And we have the Star and Fish here that are very bright cards, and they have everything to do with prosperity and success and achieving goals. And that works really well with the bottom row as well. So there are different ways we can read these cards, but all of them lead to success and certainly bring into focus the importance of communicating well, of negotiating, talking, giving and taking with this person, being a good listener, expressing well. It's important to come to the right conclusion, to a common ground, to an agreement on how to move forward. You do move forward, it does lead to success, and it puts you on a pretty secure foundation for your life in general, or your specific business, or your relationship. So you go from within to the outside world with a lot more confidence, and this really helps you to succeed. And when it comes to your personal relationship, you could be taking it to the next level and deciding to make a home together, and possibly to travel and to find maybe a foothold in a different place. So these are some really beautiful cards for you, and they bring success. I really think if you are willing to focus on solutions, to have the right attitude and a positive attitude, you will land almost without question on the right solution. We could get a few more insights from the columns. Let's look at these. We have the man, dog, and house. So this can tell us that this is a family friend, or a relative, or a colleague at work. It can also be a customer if you're in business for yourself. But of course, it can be your partner. Even though the dog is more about friends, with the house, it can be like, your loyal friend. The woman, anchor, and clover, also very positive, points to security and certainty and success. And really the cards on these two people are supportive, lengthwise and horizontally. These are some great cards. The clouds, road and key is a bit of a bumpy ride, but again, you could be having doubts about what's ahead, but the cards are telling you to work through this, and you do, and you land successfully. You are on the right path, even if sometimes you're doubting that, or it doesn't feel like you are. Just have faith and keep moving forward, and remember you have the support of this person. And if you're going down this path together, then work it out, work these differences, and you'll find the right solution. And these are some really beautiful cards. The anchor, star, and garden. Obviously, these are success cards. You're going to land in the right place. And you could also get some recognition, appreciation for your work, if this is about work. And if it's a bit more personal, then there is a strong connection here. And it's like there's a little haven of peace and fulfillment that is represented by these cards. So very beautiful cards for a positive conclusion. And then we have this interesting combination here, the book, fish, and mountain. So the book is a bit about mysteries and things unknown, and the mountain can be a place abroad. With the fish, I wonder if you could be looking into some opportunities to pursue, whether it's in a different location or online. Maybe you're in the publishing business, or you create stuff, you put something out there. It can be about your creativity and expressing in some ways or other. And so you get the green light to pursue this, and so what's going on here could really open up opportunities in a different place. Again, in the bottom row, we have like a progression from the indoor to the outdoor. You could be going from just you and your friends into the broader community, into the outside world, like an international marketplace, and that is very possible. I have to add one thing. In this sense, these cards, when it comes to business proper, this is about marketing. You know, it's like email marketing and social media and putting the word out there. You know, so at this point, maybe you're feeling like you're ready to go down that path where you've shared your work in a smaller place and now you're ready to go into the bigger communities where you are and beyond where you are. So this is something that I'm inspired to think about when I look at these cards. They're also good financially, or maybe you're looking for opportunities in a different place. It's like you've established yourself here and you're looking to broaden your horizon and your choices. So this is good for work and money. And when it comes to the relationship, something similar can apply because we suggested that you could be, you know, starting something together here. So you might look at options in this sense as well. So these are some really beautiful cards delivering lots of happy messages. The Clover Key and Star are three of the most powerfully positive cards in the deck. And the Master Key, not this key, but like the key for you is the communication aspect. So as they say, answer the phone, open the mail, be there. You have to give and take, you have to communicate. You want to focus and pay attention and come with a good attitude that is focused on solutions, because it is really going to push things forward quite significantly. You know, these are, you know, the star and the fish and everything we're seeing in the bottom row. These are big pushes forward, you know, so this is an opportunity to create like a more or less major thrust in your life, you know, that can push you forward to the next phase, whether it's in your business through this collaboration or in your personal relationship, which is really solidifying something. So some very beautiful cards. Yes, there's a number of possibilities, but they all lead to a very positive conclusion and, you know, solutions opening up and building on these. So let me know what you've made of these cards. Let me know what you've made of your theme cards. What is maybe the interpretation, if you're like, that you resonated most with. Leave me your thoughts and comments, and any questions, by all means, leave them in there. I'm happy, very happy to look at them. So thank you so much for tuning into this reading. I really hope you've enjoyed these beautiful cards. Again, leave me a comment and leave me your thoughts. And before I let you go, I want to remind you that I offer one of the few end-to-end programs to master these amazing cards. This is the very special Lenormand deck. I offer several resources and opportunities for learning, so be sure you check all of them out. And of course, I offer private readings if that's what you're interested in. Everything is in the description box. So thank you so much for tuning into this reading. I'm so looking forward to our next time together. And until then, take very good care of yourself.